Welcome in to the crossover. We're in the zone meets open mic, the Penny and Shaq of sports talk radio in O-Town. How you doing,
No,
Mike?
no, I'm Dwight. I'm the goat, and you are Shaq, the lesser goat.
I'm the big diesel. I don't know how that's even a debate, by the way. Dwight spent twice as much time here. They both accomplished the exact same thing, ultimately, of getting the team to the NBA Finals. And Dwight Howard, Mike, is the only superstar in Magic history to win an NBA Finals game. Shaq never did.
No, Shaq's team got swept, and I can't believe Greg Warmouth went on the beat of sports with Mark Daniels and essentially just castigated me for having the audacity to say Dwight is the GOAT of the Orlando Magic. I didn't understand it at all. I realized he's a Shaq homer. He was like Shaq's guy back in the day when Shaq was in Orlando. But Greg Warmouth, yeah, he took umbrage with me saying that and writing it in the paper. And yeah, I mean, and plus, there's also this, as long as we're on the topic here, there's also this. Shaq had Penny. Shaq had another top 5, top 10 player in the league on his team. Dwight didn't. Dwight did not. He had some good players around him, Rashard Lewis, Jameer, those guys, but he didn't have another superstar on the team with him, right?
Yeah, a Penny at his best was good enough you could build the team around Penny Hardaway. There was no other player on Dwight's Magic team that you would say put them on a different roster, build the franchise around him. Rashard Lewis made it to an all-star team, but Penny was more than an all-star. He was a superstar. Yeah. And I think when you compare the careers of the two, obviously Shaq had a better career than Dwight Howard, but Shaq also reached the heights that he did partially because of the guys that he was teamed with throughout his career. It wasn't only Penny. It was Kobe Bryant, Dwayne Wade.
Right.
Those guys helped propel him to championships. So when you compare the two side by side, Sweet T and I were having the debate about if you were to build your all-time NBA roster and you had to pick a center, how many centers would you have to go through before you got to Dwight Howard? And I tried to make the case that I would take Dwight over Shaq for my all-time super team because of his defense and the fact that he did carry an organization to the finals by himself, something that Shaq never did.
I wouldn't go that far.
I think Shaq was an overall better player, but if I'm building the roster, I'm team building here. I need defense, and Dwight was a better defender.
Better defender, better rebounder. Shaq never led the league in rebounding. Dwight did it a number of times. So, yeah.
There you go. So let me, that was the unofficial first question. So,
Okay.
We'll just see where this takes us. But I want to piggyback off of that and ask you something that we brought up on the show the other day. Give me the percent chance that both Paolo Banchero and Franz Wagner make it to the Magic Hall of Fame. Both of them.
Well, obviously they would both have to stay here, and we don't
have to stay here that long. I mean,
yeah,
one of the guys that are in.
Good point. Yeah, I'm going to be positive here. The percent chance, I'm going to say there's I think they're both. One's already proven he's an all-star. The other is an all-star in my mind, Franz Wagner, or will be. So, Jameer Nelson's going to make it into the Magic Hall of Fame. Rashard Lewis is going to make it into the Magic Hall of Fame. If these two guys stay together for any length of time, and they are, because Franz is already under contract and Paolo will be under max contract next year, I'm going to say there's an 80% chance that these guys are both in the Magic Hall of Fame. And, again, barring any sort of, Paolo turns into Jimmy Butler and forces his way out of town. I don't think that's going to happen, or at least anytime soon.
But again, that has not precluded the Magic from putting guys into their Hall of Fame.
Right,
so that even that is
You're right. I'm going to go 95%. You've changed my mind. 95% instead of 80%.
I'm one more 30-point performance away from Paolo just being inducted before the end of the season, by the way.
Right. Speaking of the Magic, let's stick with the Magic real quick here. All right. So, the Magic, they played better recently. When you look now at the Eastern Conference, all right, Cleveland has shown some vulnerability. Boston, Tatum is out. We don't know how long he's going to be out, but he's out. We see what's happening with Milwaukee. Sadly, Damian Lillard may be out for the season with that blood clot. We don't know what's going to happen with him. If the Magic can sort of roar into the play-in and win the play-in, I'm saying it's not so far-fetched right now to think that the Magic could pull an upset in the first round.
Boy, that'd be great. It is amazing what a couple of wins will do, because there was no hope of that about a week ago. And now it doesn't sound as crazy. I still don't think that will happen. But if you go into the playoffs with a bunch of momentum, then there will be that thought that maybe, just maybe, you could pull that off. Boston, even without Jason Tatum the other night, absolutely demolished the Phoenix Suns on the road. So they're fine. And I'm sure that this is more precautionary than anything. I think the Cavs at this point are mostly bored because they've been so good and they're ready for the playoffs to start. I think both of those teams, I know they'd be heavy favorites, and deservedly so. I think with the Magic rolling into the playoffs with momentum, if they were to run right through the play-in, they can make a little bit of noise in a series. I still don't see them making out of the first round, if I'm being completely objective about the situation. Let me switch gears to something in sports media business related, which I know always piques your interest, Mike.
Okay.
We had the recent interview, the hour-long unfiltered LeBron James acting like a high schooler that was on a podcast for the first time, talking with Pat McAfee. And I'm wondering this, not so much about the LeBron side, but about the Pat McAfee side.
Mm-hmm.
It's just something that I ask myself often. Is Pat McAfee good for our industry? His guest list is impeccable.
Mm-hmm.
It's impressive. But I don't think he's ever asked a tough question in his life. He just gives these athletes a forum. His show is very much frat bro vibes.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I should like his show because I'm closer to the demographic that he's going after, but I don't. I appreciate the success that he has created, so I don't mean to sound like a hater, but I feel like his show is mostly a waste of time where you never learn anything. They never get to the root of anything. It's just Pat McAfee and his buddies saying the obvious thing, clapping, and then bringing on huge guests and letting them go on about whatever it is they want to go on about. Whether it's Aaron Rodgers talking about vaccines and Jimmy Kimmel, or LeBron roasting Stephen A. Smith, there's never pushback at all. And I wonder if that's good for our industry with how popular he has become.
I don't think it's good for our industry, no. But at least it's not good for our industry the way I think our industry should be. But it's not the way our industry is. Our industry is, at least the ESPN sort of side of the industry, and even in the podcast world as well, it's become a place where you have a lot of former athletes, which Pat McAfee is. They're buddy, but they try to be buddy with everybody, and they don't get to the meat of the matter sometimes. They just want to be friends, sort of, with everybody who they have on. And sometimes you have to be, if you're a true member of the media, in my book, you have to be confrontational sometimes. You have to ask tough questions sometimes.
Completely agree. And you don't have to be rude about it. You don't have to go the Stephen A. Smith route. But I do think there is. I feel like there's and I didn't go to journalism school. Okay, I don't have these high and mighty standards. But I feel like you have a responsibility to your audience, that when you have somebody that is sitting with you that people want to hear from, to ask them questions that people would want the answers to, and do it in a respectful way so that you don't ruin that relationship. But that never happens on that show, ever.
I agree. I agree. Last one for you. You're going to be
Yep.
at the NFL owners meetings next week down in West Palm. All the owners are there. I think coaches are there as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. All the coaches.
Anyway, obviously a big topic here in Orlando. Are the Jaguars going to play the 2027 season in Orlando when their stadium's getting refurbished up in Jacksonville? The owners are supposed to vote on that at the owners meetings next week. I'm going to put you on the spot here, Kravitz. Everybody knows you're a Dolphins fan. If the Jaguars are playing in Orlando in 2027, and I think they will you become a Jaguars fan at least for that season?
No, no. Well, this is a
What?
loaded. It's a loaded question because getting me off of my Dolphins fandom at this stage of my life would not be the most arduous of tasks because it's been mostly an awful experience my entire life, and I have flirted with the idea of saying, "Well, why do I even claim this football team anymore? They bring me no joy and never have." So that's a separate issue. But am I going to cheer for a team because they're going to play 5 or 6 games in this city? No.
More
I'm
like
not going to become
7
a
or
Jags
8.
fan.
And what if they're in the playoffs that year too? We'll have playoff NFL games in Orlando. Are you kidding me?
And then they're done, and then they go marching back to Jacksonville. You know what I think is going to be awkward about this whole situation, Mike?
What?
Is that what you're saying should already be the case? There should already be a movement from the Jacksonville Jaguars, and you could throw the other teams in here too, but I think it would behoove the Jags the most, since they're in the smallest market of the 3 NFL teams in this state, to wrap their arms around the city of Orlando and claim us as their own. And it's going to be so awkward when they come waltzing into this city like, "Hey guys, we've loved you the whole time." And you go, "Where the hell have you been? We've been here the whole time. We're a bigger market than you are. You should be begging us for you to be our NFL team," and that has not been the case. So if anything, I resent the Jaguars for their lack of interest in Orlando, and no, I will not become a fan.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Now, when they had Bortles, that was a different story. Okay.
The crossover is over.